Good morning, everybody. It is about 10 minutes till 6 a.m. on what is this, Friday morning already? Another week has gone by. And I am Dr. Kelsey, and we're going to, I did a little spiel last 24 hours in regards to approaching your careers in a different way. Um, which I think is, something that needs to be looked at very closely. We're at a new time in the history of the human experience. And we need to start looking at life. You need to retrain yourself to view life in a different perspective. And this happens throughout the history. If you're a student of history, and if you've been, some people call themselves a student of history, and basically all they've got is some dates and names and that kind of stuff, to have an understanding of what's taken place in history, besides just a memorization of facts and data. People think they've got an education simply because they can pass a test. They think, "Oh, I'm smart because I got an A on this test." And there's a lot of people get A on tests. There's a lot of child geniuses, prodigies that you hear about. I'm sure more than once you've heard of some 15-year-old that's already in Harvard University and so forth. And if you ever take the time to think about it, you never hear of these really smart people again. They're school smart. There's a difference between school smart and real smart. There's a huge difference, because in one instance, you've accumulated a lot of data. You can pass tests, man. You can whiz through a test. But having a full understanding of what you learned and being able to assimilate all this stuff that you've learned and make some great use of it, it's a whole different scenario. So if you study history, there's a lot of people, it's like, yes, I'm a historian. I can tell you back in 1812, there was a war, and back the Civil War was such and such, and this took place and that took place. You've got data. That's all you've got is data. You've memorized that data. You've got that down. Make no mistake about that. You can talk all day and name off names. There's a lot of people that know the Bible. Oh, they know the Bible. They can quote scriptures. They can talk Bible stories. They can do all that. But they cannot assimilate this data. They do not have an understanding of the whys and the what was really taking place during these times. They can only tell you basically what was taking place and whatever the books taught them. They just haven't put it all together. They don't have true understanding. So we're going through a phenomenal experience. This experience we're going through here during this period of time in 2020, it is extremely phenomenal. It does not happen that frequently through the history of man. It does happen. It's happened before at different levels. It's more profound today simply because of our tight-knit world, the way we travel. We get on a plane and we're carrying stuff and each other all over the planet. So the spread of any such thing, a pandemic today, is totally different than a pandemic in previous times. A virus today is different than a virus of 100 years ago. It's a different breed of animal. But back up for a second as to where we are. Anybody that's lived any length of time into adulthood, or maybe even just the teenage years, you've made mistakes. You've gotten yourself in a situation in life that you're not totally happy with. At least you think you're not happy with it. How many of you have sat back and said, man, if I just wish I could wipe the slate clean and start all over? Have you ever said that? Have you so frustrated with your life, so discouraged with your life? It's just, man, I just wish I could just start all over. I just wish I could just wipe all this clean and start all over. Now, I want to add a little politics, not a lot of politics, little politics here, if you will, kind of politics. we have these presidential elections. We've got another one coming up this year, and each one of them a new change, a new beginning, a new start, blah, 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 blah. And it's really none of the above, because we're taking the same system and we're just recycling this same system with new faces, new labels, new names. And you go back the 240 years of our existence as a nation, and this recycling process just goes over and over and over. And we think, well, okay, women's got the right to vote. Blacks can now ride in front of the bus. Gays can now get married. In a sense, those are that's a thing. I mean, it is, in a sense, progress. But in the overall picture, have we, as humanity, as a culture, have we really progressed simply because we're saying, okay, we're going to allow a woman to cast a vote? She can take a pen and mark a check mark or click a button, or a black person can do the same. They can participate in the system. The system hasn't changed. And this is what I'm talking about. We're recycling a system. We're letting other people participate in the system. On the surface, it looks like maybe there's some progress, but in reality, we look at it, there's really not. It's more profound today than other times in history, maybe. You've still got the same caste system, C-A-S-T-E, caste system, where we have this, what's been referred to commonly as the 1% at the top, that own most of the wealth. Then you got the middle class, and then you got the worker bees down here. This is the real worker bees. They are just dirt poor. They literally have no savings. They're struggling week to week. If they get to go in debt for a new car, they feel like they've really done something. That hasn't changed. There'll be moments in time in our history that the middle class can rise up a little bit, and then another crew get in the White House or administration, and it kind of slides up. The scale will slide a little bit. Never in a permanent thing. I've always said, and people think, you got to vote, you got to vote, you got to participate, you got a right to vote, you got to exercise that right to vote. If you don't vote, you got no right to complain. I disagree totally. I've been alive since Eisenhower was president. I'm a student of history. I disagree totally. I've always said, if you really, truly, in our system, if you want to take control and truly change this system, there's only one way to do it. And we are sitting at a critical time to where it's so easy to do, because we've been put in this position, thanks to this virus, that now we could really affect this change. We could really have this new beginning right here. We could sincerely, truly have this new beginning if we get our shit together. Don't worry about Trump. Don't worry about Biden. Don't worry about the system. Worry about what we want as a people, what we want the system to look like, because we can affect it now. How many of you have been affected? You or your spouse, or you or someone in your family have been affected work-wise by this virus. And it's not just in our country, it's a worldwide pandemic. It's not just a United States thing. It's not just a New York thing. It is worldwide. But we're going to focus on our system here in the United States first. So you get the highest unemployment rate ever in the history of the United States of America. Now, I'm not going to, the cause of it, forget the cause of it. It's just like right now, we got the politicians getting up there, and they get asked questions by the reporters, and it gets immediately into the blame game. The Trump administration, well, we inherited this mess, and Obama, and blah, 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 but that doesn't matter. It's a new beginning, regardless of what got us to this point where we are today. Instead of worrying about it's his fault or her fault or blah, 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 or Hillary's emails or Trump's whatever, that's weapons of mass distraction, WMD. What matters is, where are we and what can we do about the system that we are disgruntled with? What can we do to change who we are as a people. So remember, there have been times in your life, I assure you, that you have sat back and said, man, God dang, I wish they could just wipe the slate clean and start all over. Guess what? The slate is being wiped clean and we can start all over. But we have to have the unity of mindset to accomplish this feat. I've often said it's not your vote that's going to make the difference. And it's not. I've seen these votes go back and forth, back and forth. It's Republican for 8 years, and Democrat for 8 years, then another 4 years, back and forth, back and forth. It's this, and it's always within this range. It's never a dramatic leap. It's always kept in this average, and as long as they keep it in this range right here, they're in good shape. So they can throw you a bone, as they say, and it looks like you've taken this leap, but in reality, because another election cycle is going to come, it's going to bring it down. It's going to consistently stay in that range, that manageable to them, that manageable, acceptable range right there. That's what they want. We've always had the ability, as the people, we outnumber these people. They have no more power than what we give them. The government has no power that we don't give it. Police have no power that we don't give it. Politicians have no power that we don't give them. Preachers have no power that we don't give them. We empower these people. Stephen King may be a great author, but he's not the only author. We just gave him, we, the people, supported him. Any entertainer you see out there with Justin Bieber, Miley Cyrus, Lady Gaga, they didn't make it on their own. They made it because we gave it to them. We empowered them. Every instance like that, we empowered them en masse. It's called mob mentality. The media has the force to put something out, to get it out there. They don't even have to headline it. And I've experienced this myself from nowhere, a small little tidbit in a major, whether it be CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, or whatever, just a small little headline here, not even right on the first page, but down in the bottom somewhere, can dramatically change someone's life. So now, I've always said that we, being who we are, having the numbers of people we got, in this situation we're in now, or in this system we're in, your vote. I don't care. It's not going to change anything dramatically. It's always going to keep it right in there at that level. It's always going to keep it there. Yes, it'll go up a little bit, then another, and then it's going to come back down. It's going to stay right in that line right there consistently, because it don't really matter. We get the blacks, okay, you can vote. You can sit in front of the bus. Gays can get that piece of paper. I mean, there's no great change taking there. It's a cultural thing. It's not a real thing. It hasn't really changed the system. It's all an illusion of change. The dramatic change can be enforced by us. And see, this is the power, and it right here. And we do not realize, no matter how little of this goes through our hands, we don't realize that regardless of how little of this goes through our hands compared to what top tier has, the 1%, we don't realize how much power we have with our little bitty amounts of this. See, the poorest of poor are the biggest spenders. Up in Nashville area, there's a mall called Green Springs Mall, and it is the mall of the wealthiest part of town. the old money, the people that have tons of money. That mall, you go there, it's always like a ghost town. You think, how does this mall survive? If you dig under the surface, you find out, well, the wealthy people, when they go to the mall, they do buy and they spend a lot of money, but they spend it in such a way different than us. When we go, we fill our buggies up. When these wealthiest people go, they buy a few elite expensive items. When we go, we fill our buggies up for the most we can get for this, and then we go in debt for things like this. The way to affect a dramatic change outside of voting, outside of participating in that system, the way to effectively change that system for a true new beginning is to stop supporting the system. Now, vote if you want to. That's not going to make one iota difference in the big picture. What's going to make a difference in the big picture is you got to understand our system is 100% a capitalist system. From top to bottom, it all boils down to this. Every bit of it boils down to this. What are we concerned about now? What's the major concern? Are we crying about the number of people infected by the virus? Are we crying about the number of people dying from the virus? The big issue is the economic effect of this virus, because this is God. See, that's why the politicians get up and they're concerned about the stock market. They're concerned about the highest levels of unemployment ever in this nation, because it all boils down to this. And we cannot wake up to realize that. You think that they really care about you simply because they're going to take your money that you worked for and gave to the government to manage for you, to take care of your roads, to take care of your schools, all the things that government services. You think that because they're going to return to you $1,200, whatever you get, that they're taking care of you. It's a token, because they're holding you on because they want this to end so they can get you back to work. Because without you producing, the big ones, the big guys will fail. So that's why it's important to them to have the bailouts, billions of dollars of bailouts to the airlines, to the cruise ships. But if I employ 5 people in my little shop over here and I fail, they're not going to give me a bailout. They're not offering me anything. The bottom line, get used to it. This is the guide. This is what rules your life. This is what you work for 40 and sometimes more years of your life. This and stuff, this. How much money do you spend to have one of these? This is what you're supporting. This is the system you're supporting. It's somewhat managed by the government. So if we as a people now, we're in a situation, the jobs are already going away. Unemployment rates have skyrocketed because they're trying to get a hold of this, control of this virus. It's a worldwide pandemic. We are now in this situation. I've always suggested that the way that we could get a hold and take control of this system and truly change the system that we live under is to stop going to work, stop feeding the system. Within a short period of time, you get their attention. And what I have said all along is now very in your face visual. Just look at the news. Look what they're concerned about. Look at the stock market. Look at the numbers. That's what they're concerned about, is the numbers. So when you look at those numbers and you see that everything that I've talked about over the years is exactly true, we're experiencing it right now. Now, nobody volunteered to get in this position. This pandemic put us in this position. The response to this pandemic put us in this position. But the outcome can be the same if we take a hold of it instead of letting it beat us down, instead of letting it depress us, instead of being afraid of it. We should embrace this time so that we can have this new beginning. We are here and we can have this new beginning. All those times in your life when you said, I wish I could just clean a slate and start over. You can. It's right there. You can. We as a people now can clean our slate and start over. Trump ran on draining the swamp. Well, we see how that worked when he's had the highest number of people indicted and arrested and whatnot than any administration in recent times, maybe in the history of our country. He just replaced one swamp for the other. I don't care if you like Trump or not. Be real. It is the system. Trump is not the problem. He's a symptom of our problem. None of these politicians are the problem. They're all a symptom of the problem. By participating in the system and supporting this system, we're never going to change the system. I don't care how many times you vote, you're still trying to just prop up the system. But now, everything that I've talked about is being put in your face and being forced upon us. And we should look at this as a time that we can grab a hold of this. We can get a positive outcome of this because now we, the workforce, can change the system. It is time. The slate has been wiped clean. The schools are closed. All these restaurants, all this stuff is closed. Capitalism is showing its face. But that's fine because we got a time for this new beginning, a new way, a new approach to go right here. What would you like to see? Forget the system, forget the Constitution, forget the system totally, forget what's been in place. If you could draw this map, we see people debating and attacking each other on forums and Facebook all day long. So now you got a chance. If you're going to rebuild it from the ground up, what would it be? Would it be the United States? What would it be? See, that's what I got to figure out. Instead of, oh, I'm bored, I can't go anywhere. No, we need to sit down and think. It's time to be adults. Quit whining, quit bitching because, oh, I can't go to a movie. I can't watch people play with a ball. Come on, grow up, people. This is an important time in our history. And it's a time that we can grab a hold of and we make this change. It's not a time for sniveling, crying, and whining about what we're missing out on. We can't go to a movie, can't go to a concert, can't go to a ball game. It's time. The slate is being wiped clean. We can now rebuild. We can reinvent ourselves individually, and we can reinvent the entire system. You've said it before. Sometime in your life, you said it, maybe more than once, you said, I wish I could just wipe the slate clean and start all over. It's there. It's sitting and waiting on you and I and everybody else to grab a hold of and to rewrite it, to rebuild it, a new foundation, a new start. We can do it. We can do it now. It don't have to be based on this. I see groups that started bartering, whatever. It's time we realize there's two important things in your life. Two. That is you and your loved ones, the health and well-being of you physically. Because no matter how much of this you've got, if you don't have your health and well-being, This is not going to, if there's no cure and you're miserable, this is not going to buy you through that. Rich people die, rich people get sick. The health and well-being of the people, and then the health and well-being of the planet. We got that opportunity. I grab a hold of this opportunity. I suggest that now's the time for this new beginning, not only as a group to redesign this system that we have been born under. You and I had nothing to develop this system. This system was written out, Declaration of Independence, Constitution, amendments to the Constitution. None of this stuff happened in our lifetimes. We were born into it. We had no say. We simply accepted it because we were born into it. Oh, I popped out here. Gosh. We can reinvent it. We can reinvent ourselves. What do you want to be? If you could start all over, what would you be? Would you be a singer? Would you be a songwriter? Would you be a race car driver? What would you be? The opportunity's there. Not just as you as an individual, but us as a people to redesign this system. Because the system right now is falling apart. It don't have to be an act of violence. It can only, all we need is an act of stopping the support for the system. Our system is built upon this as its God. And your role in this system is to support this God. With very little benefit to you, a lifetime of sacrifice, and very little given back to you. The CEOs of these major corporations that are seeking these bailouts from the government, they on average make more money per year than the average you and I make in a lifetime. It's a fact. It's a fact. And you support the system. You can generally go out. You've made, through Windows, Bill Gates, one of the richest men. That's it. So you can do this. We can do this. There's absolutely no doubt about it. So I'm going to take and just do this here. All right. So if you made $80,000 a year, and in my home state, that's not that's not the average worker bee in Alabama. 40 years of your work life, you have made $3,200,000. You know how many CEOs make that in a year? And you keep supporting that system. That's it. It's not that complicated. Instead of bemoaning everything that you're seeing, it's time that you sit back and you said, wait a minute, I wanted to start all over. Do you realize how many times that the likes of even Donald Trump have been bankrupt and have gotten away without having to pay their bills back, money borrowed, and they had the power, the whatever to sit back and negotiate their way out of this stuff? It's like, oh, this place over here, $5 million, and the casino's failing, and I'm going to get my team together and we're going to sit down and we're going to file some kind of Chapter 11, Chapter 13 bankruptcy, and it's either going to be wiped clean or we're going to settle it 10 cents on the dollar. Happens all the time. And you're out here struggling. You think, oh my, I don't want to damage my credit. Maybe damaging your credit would be the best thing that ever happened to you. This is the opportunity to reinvent, not just yourself, but we as a people can reinvent the entire system that we live under. Think about it. And we'll talk more about this later, but now I'm going to freshen up my coffee. Hope everybody has a good morning.